here somewhere, right? So many good people here in Fort Worth running for office. I'm lucky I don't have an opponent, so that means I have more time on my hands. Who has time on their hands for Beto? All right. You know, so us, that's enough time. I want y'all to welcome, put your a good hand. Man, I wanted to introduce Beto today. Get up, bitch. Somebody took it away from me, but you know what? He's one of my really good friends. Put your hands together for U.S. Congressman 33, Mark Ridglea.
What's up, Fort Worth? It is so great to be here with you this morning. I got to tell you, I'm excited. I mean, we have momentum this cycle. This is real. Beto is real. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for giving us part of your world. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you. Mark, thank you for the introduction. Raul,
love you.
Thank you for getting us all fired up. Whoever left the skateboard over here, thanks for taking it back there, so I was not tempted to get on it. Very grateful for the two of you and for your public service and for what you're doing for this community, for our state, and for our country right now. Really makes me proud of what all of us are doing together in perhaps the largest grassroots campaign that this state has ever seen. Certainly the largest grassroots campaign going on in this country right now. All people, all the time, in every single county of Texas coming together at this moment of division where this country's never been more polarized, at least in our lifetimes. Being the answer to that, to the pettiness, to the small stuff, to the paranoia, to the fear, to the this is the person you're supposed to be afraid of. Here's who we keep out of the country. This is where the wall will be built. This is where we're going to keep the kid who we just took from their parent in a tent city that we just constructed in the desert outside of El Paso in a town named Tornillo. This is where we are right now. And the thing that I think we've all got to remember, because given some of the personalities involved, there can be this strange cold comfort in blaming it on someone else. And saying, you know, this guy did this to us, or he's the problem. But I think, well, there's a lot of truth to that. In a democracy, at least the way I've always understood it, the government is the people, and we are the government. So anything that's going on in this country right now is on us, and it's on us to make it better if we don't like it, right?
Right.
And that's what we're organized around. Those things we want to achieve, the big stuff, the answer to the small stuff, that's on us as well. It involves all of us coming together, making the decision, setting our minds to it, and pursuing it together, understanding that not all of us are going to agree with every single other one of us all of the time. No two people ever will. But we will find enough common ground to make things better.
That's right.
Find enough of us who agree with the aspirational, ambitious goals that we have as a country, as a people, that not only stop the things that we don't like, the walls, the separation, the Muslim bans, the press as the enemy of the people, but replace that with the things that we want to be distinguished by, known for. What if we, the people of Texas, who understand these issues better than anyone else, I would argue, were to rewrite, for example, our immigration laws in our own image, from our own experiences, our families, our communities, our traditions, those things that we know to be true, that fly in the face of the hateful rhetoric that seeks to scare you, make you afraid, makes you smaller in the process. We're too big for that.
That's right.
There's too much goodness in this room right now, in the 254 counties that we have visited, for us to submit to the smallness of the moment. Now, on this subject of no two people ever agreeing all the time, I just got off the phone with my wife, checking in with her in El Paso, and who's been absolutely extraordinary. If you have heard her speak, your only disappointment is that I'm the one who's running instead of Amy, and has the additional challenge of raising our kiddos. Mark was just talking about Ulysses, who's 11, Molly, who's 10, Henry, who's 7 years old. And if you've had these conversations with your spouse or loved one or partner at a distance, you know what I'm talking about. There is this veneer of, love, kindness, the right words that you say. Underneath that is a frustration of, Beto, I would love for you to be here so I could kick your ass for leading me for the last 2 years and being on the road. Ulysses did not sleep last night and is in a funk, which is understandable if you haven't gotten any sleep. Henry has a cold and is all stuffed up, and you know when a 7-year-old has a cold and they're stuffed up and nothing's right and they just complain all the time and they won't stop, and he refuses to blow his nose and get it out of his system. And Molly, Amy is taking Molly on a camping trip this weekend with her Girl Scout troop, and Molly's being awesome, in part because she just talked another family member into adopting a bunny. Molly's all about the animals in life. That's what she wants to do. But she's in a great mood this morning, which kind of brings some things into balance. But talking to them right now, knowing that we are so close, having been on the road for 21 months, we're 18 days from seeing each other again. And that's such a powerful feeling. Talking to Ulysses last night as he was having a hard time getting to bed, and he doesn't totally understand what we're doing, why we're doing it, why we made this decision to be apart for the better part of 2 years. And I said, and sorry to speak so personally, but I said, look, I don't know that I would understand it either, and I know this is tough, and I know this is unlike perhaps what a lot of your other friends, parents are doing, although I know that some in El Paso, home to the 1st Armored Division at Fort Bliss, are gone 9 or 10 months at a time and not coming home every 3 or 4 weeks. So a lot of people are serving in the community, but I know that this is a little bit of a challenge. I want to make sure that when we're done with this, and when you're a little bit older, that you look back on what we did, what all of us did, not your dad, but what the people of Texas did. And you're proud of us, that you knew that we faced these extraordinary challenges, that you knew that this was a defining moment of truth and a test for us as a country. You knew that 242 years in to this experiment, that is the exception in world history, not the rule. It's the envy of so much of the rest of the planet. That we can still get this right. And no matter the challenge, no matter the odds, we knew that at this moment, it was up to every single one of us to stand up and to be counted. And so for your mom and me, telling Ulysses, that meant getting on the road, traveling to every single county, showing up for everyone. And you cannot be too red, you cannot be too blue, you cannot be too much of a non-voter. You cannot be anyone other than one of the 28 million people in this state that we want to be with, that we want to represent, that we want to serve, that we want to fight for in the United States Senate. And so I've shown up over the last 21 months for you here in Fort Worth countless times. Though people have said this is a red county, Tarrant County. And listen, I don't buy into the fact that it may be a blue county or that maybe it's a purple county. All I know is that there are people here who have absolutely inspired me. Moms who introduced me to their kids, who are medically complex, medically expensive to take care of, kids with diabetes, kids with cerebral palsy, kids whose parents are the ones lifting them up out of their chair, onto their bed, massaging their chest, vacuuming out the mucus in their lungs so that they can continue to breathe. Parents who depend on a Medicaid waiver program that allows them to take care of their child in their house. Parents of children who have pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
And I see the anxiety on their face after they've just lifted up their 20-year-old child and put them on a bed. A 10-year-old child and put them on a bed. Brought their 6-year-old child into a meeting like this because too often those children, not represented by a political action committee or a special interest or a corporation, unseen, unheard, out of sight, are not part of the conversation, not part of the policies that we make. And when you have a junior senator who has promised to repeal every single word of the Affordable Care Act, including those protections for those pre-existing conditions, I both see the anxiety and the anguish on that mom's face. Totally understandable if you know what she's up against. I remember meeting Laura and her son Victor, and in that room where I saw her lift her son up onto that bed, she pointed to all of the equipment that keeps him alive. And she said, if I'm no longer eligible to receive this support, you tell me, Beto, what you're first going to take out of Victor's room that keeps him alive right now. At the same time, totally blown away and inspired by her courage, her strength, literally physically, picking this kid up, and her strength and determination and persistence every single day in the face of uncertainty about what's next for Victor, and the face of uncertainty in terms of what's next for her country, and the policies that will literally determine the fate of her family. And how she has met that not with despair, though it is very disappointing, and it may be a very dark time for her. But she has met that with all of the strength in her system, connecting with all of the strength here in this room, with hundreds of thousands of people across this state who are going to make sure that we get it right. That we go from being the least insured state in the United States of America, a state that passed on Medicaid expansion. When the federal government was going to pay 100 cents on the dollar to do it, we literally left, we the people of Texas, $100 billion on the table that could go to families to connect them with the care that they need to be better, and in too many cases, just to live. What if we were the same state, following Laura's lead and those others who have inspired us as we've traveled this state, that leads the way on guaranteed, high-quality, universal health care. Every child, every woman, every man, able to see that provider, to see that medication, go to that therapist to make sure that they live to their full potential over the course of their life. Primary care, specialty care, and in a state whose largest provider of mental health care services is the county jail system, in a state where there are more inpatient mental health care beds in the Harris County Jail in Houston, Texas, than in all of the public serving mental health care clinics and institutions and hospitals in a state of 28 million combined, can also make sure that it means mental health care. And in a state that has become the epicenter of the maternal mortality crisis, losing women here faster than almost any other state in the union, faster than almost any other developed country on the planet, and it is 3 times as deadly for women of color. The same state that since 2011 has closed down more than a quarter of its family planning clinics, making it that much harder for a woman to get a cervical cancer screening, see a family planning provider, see a provider or a doctor of any kind at all. This could be the same state that says, when we say universal, we mean universal. And that means every woman making her own decisions about her own body.
My mom was holding my bike, and then it scaled down on the plastic. I love that. I'm asking you to this is a red county. I'm not going to get
There's still a pack?
Yes.
All right, y'all, when Beto comes back, I'll give y'all. When Beto comes back, I'll let y'all, so y'all can get the
Thank you very much.
Appreciate y'all coming out this morning. Where you living now?
Yeah, thank you for coming out.
Yeah, we need some more numbers. Hold on a second. We'll get the guys. As soon as you do take a picture, ask please if you can head out. No time for autographs, no time for pictures. We are ready very, very late. Gotta get to the colony. Hold on.
I can't wait.
I feel it. Please keep it up.
Awesome. Thank you. I'm well. How are you?
Beto came from Colorado to see you.
We're gonna grab this one.
We're in Texas. Well, you can talk to people.
I'm going to today.
Okay, thank you. It's gonna make a YouTube. Are we doing this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be a good one.
I gave him a question envelope.
Okay, great. And she's got it.
I got it, Beto. I got it.
Okay, wonderful.
One of y'all guys. Nice to meet you.
Oh, that's a good one.
Thank
you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right, here. Just one.
Looks like we're circling back.
Timing. Nancy, if he does get there, bird's eye view, it's away.
Thank you. Thanks for being part of this. You're giving us a lot of hope right now. Yeah, very grateful.
All right.
Oh, yeah. Got it?
Very much. We're running late, guys. Running late. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Beto.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Beto.
We're going to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you for caring about me, too.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for having us out. You're going to win, Beto. Thank you.
This is the first election I'm voting in, and I'm so glad I'm voting in.
If we win by one vote, it's you.
Yeah!
I'm glad you followed us. We'll keep it going.
And honey. First time I met you, you needed psychologists in El Paso.
Yes.
I'm working there.
Are you really? At the VA? But in El Paso.
Working as a neuropsychologist.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Yeah, that's awesome. All right. Thank you for doing it. Thanks for knocking on doors. It makes all the difference in the world. Thank you. You're real great. All right, we're gonna have to head out for heading. I will. You were awesome today. Thank you all very much. Let everyone know.
Thank you, Mark.